So, if you have not been following me, I try to do my best to look at some of the best companies across Africa as a case study. But I also deep dive into what is happening in the African tech ecosystem. And today, I welcome you again. But first, if you're new here, why don't you subscribe to our YouTube or follow us on social media? So now let's talk about M-KOPA, one of Africa's most innovative startups. And they're tackling two huge problems: energy poverty and financial inclusion. And they're also doing this in a very impactful and super smart way. So let me break down in a way that makes this practical, relevant, and easy to also understand. You ready? Well, let's dive in. First, let's talk about the problem M-KOPA is solving. Did you know that over 600 million people in Africa don't have access to electricity? That's crazy, right? Instead, they rely on things like kerosene lamps, which are inexpensive, unhealthy, and bad for the environment. As a matter of fact, many of us grew up in homes wherein we actually use kerosene lamps to actually also study. And interestingly, I was just having a conversation online about what are the key things that people really need in an ecosystem to make it thrive. And one of those was power. Well, so M-KOPA saw this as a problem. And then they thought, what if we could give people clean, affordable energy without them needing to pay a huge upfront cost? And that's exactly what they did. So here's how it works. M-KOPA provides solar home systems on a pay-as-you-go basis. Now, it's important to know that there are a few other companies today across the continent that actually does something like this, or at least try to innovate around the power and electricity for people. But let's go back to what M-KOPA does. So through that pay-as-you-go, make small daily payments like little as 0.45 cents or 45 cents. And they do this through mobile money transfer. So once they've paid off the system, they own it outright. Think about it. There's no huge upfront cost, no need for credit history, and no more kerosene. It's a win-win. And everyone, especially those, at least those who have access to the M-KOPA system. For everybody else, well, it's still a massive challenge, actually. Now let's talk about how they make money. So with something like this, it's very important that we are able to break down the different layers of how they actually make money. Number one, device sales. So they sell the solar home system, which makes sense. Think about it. I mean, solar panels or solar home system, maybe for people who live overseas, solar makes a lot of sense. Even Tesla actually has a solar system that they sell. So selling the direct system themselves is one way they make money, but also daily payments. Customer pays small amounts every day via mobile money. Remember, we said they pay as little as 45 cents. But they also have value-added services. Now, I talked about this in my last video. It is actually quite important that when you're building, whatever you're building, especially if you're building a solution for the African ecosystem, that you find an ecosystem of solution that actually supports the core problem that you're solving. So M-KOPA also did this, right? So they thought to themselves, even though we're providing all of this, but what else can we actually add as added services to build an ecosystem of revenue? So they've expanded into financing other assets like smartphones, TVs, and energy efficient appliances. But they also monetize data. So data is, gold, obviously. So they use customer data to improve their products and services. And by diversifying their revenue streams, M-KOPA ensure they are not relying on just one source of income, which is smart. I've been talking about this. So if you're building anything, the idea is to not only provide a solution to the core problem. That's the first thing, but that's not where you actually scale. It's about your ability to look at the entire ecosystem and how you build suite of solutions that actually solves that. So what that means is, it means you provide more value to your customers and you keep them for a longer period, and you have multiple sources of income. Now, M-KOPA started in Kenya, but it has since expanded to Uganda, Ghana, Nigeria, and so on. And they've powered over 1 million households, impacting more than 5 million people. Incredible. And get this, as of 2023, they've raised over $250 million from investors like Generation Investment Management and Toyota. That's a massive vote of confidence in their model. I mean, it's one business in the continent. And today, also, they've provided more than 1.5 billion credit to their customers. Think about that. Think about like this, that impact. It hasn't all been smooth. I mean, to be honest, building in the continent, and everywhere you are, actually, as an entrepreneur, you face some form of challenges. So some of the common challenges that they face were low-income customers. So convincing people to actually switch from kerosene to solar, I think it was difficult, and it wasn't easy, rightly so, because you're telling people to move traditionally from what they've been known to use to a system that they probably have never used before. But also they have infrastructure gap, which in remote areas with poor roads and connectivity all can play a big issue. And you have regulatory issues as well, right? So how do they all of these challenges? Well, it's clever by staying adaptable, building trust, and focusing on their mission. And that core mission is to actually provide power, give people access to electricity, and in the process, provide clean solution to the power crisis in the countries that they operate in. And I hope they continue countries, right? So let's look at some of their lessons. So number one, solve a real problem. Guys, I've been talking about this for a very long time now. It is very important that whatever you're doing, whatever solution you're focusing on doing, and whatever you hope or you dream about, ensure that it is actually solving a real problem. Find the pain points in the market. So one of my mentors used to say that just because there's a problem doesn't mean that there's a market in the problem. And he will continue to say also that if you have to remind those who are pain of that problem, then don't sell to them. And the pain has to be big enough for you to actually attempt to fix it. So that's one of the things M-PESA actually thought about. The pain was really big and they ventured into it. Now leverage technology. Technology helps you to deliver your solution at scale. And I've also talked about the importance of building a suite of services. And they did this also very, very well. And another thing is focusing on impact. Well, now, it's not every day that you have an entrepreneur like those at M-PESA wanting to build impact. But it is incredibly important that if you're building in the continent, think about how you impact your environment, the people that you're looking to serve, your community in general. It's quite crucial that you also do that. Another thing is building resilience. I mean, to be honest, people, but more specifically as entrepreneurs, you have to be 10 times more resilient if you really want to be successful. And the founders of M-KOPA really recognize that. So M-KOPA is a proof that with the right idea, the right team, and the right amount of execution, you can build a game-changing business right in Africa. They've not only provided clean energy, but also created a sustainable, scalable model that's transforming lives. And I strongly believe that there's a story in that. So think about them, think about their journey, think about what they're doing and how they're creating impact, and focus on building that. Because remember, it is not only about identifying the problem, it's about living the problem so that your solution is so relevant to the people that you're providing it to that you become the standard of what solving that particular problem looks like. Let me know what you think about this case study. And if you have any other questions, or if you would like me to do any other case study of any of your favorite startups, let me know. I'm happy to jump on it. Until next time, hit the subscribe button, follow me on all social media. Have a good day.